In this video, we're going to be talking all about the image module, how to get images into Divi, and then how to work with the items in the image module to change or manipulate the image. Okay, so in here, we're going to start by how do you get an image if there's not already a place for it? I know many of you are in my templates program, and it makes a lot of sense for you to replace the images that are there, but what if you want to add one? So images are image modules, so they're in the gray. So whenever you see the gray, you can click a plus sign, and then that will bring up the insert module dialog, and you can locate image inside of there, and that's how you start to get one in. So here it would place the image in between this block of text and the button here. If I wanted to place an image on here underneath this, let's say that took up the entire area underneath it, I could click the plus on a row, choose a single row cell, come down here and click on image, which is what I'm going to do. When the image module loads, this is what you're going to see. So here we can click the gear and choose our image either from the media library if it's already there, or we can click on upload files if we want to upload an image. Now, I'm not going to go into preparing your images in this video. It's more about how to get your images and work with the image module settings inside of Divi. But I do want you to know that when you have an image that is 2 megabytes, that is too big. Okay, we want to make sure that these are in kilobytes, not megabytes. So if we see here, this is 119, this image of diesel is 149. All of those are usable. So I'm actually going to pick our pretty diesel here as our subject that we're going to work with today. So I'm going to click on upload an image. Just make sure you check the sizes of things. This image is probably a little bit too small in pixels to be displayed this large. And I kind of want to show that in here. So I've chosen it wisely for this demonstration. So we're going to reduce the size of it, which there was a video right before this video on YouTube or last week if you're in the template program that will tell you how to resize an image. I'm going to do it really quickly. I'm not going to do much explaining, however. Okay, so all images inside of Divi can carry a link that people could click on the image and go somewhere else, either in your website or off your website. So if you wanted to put in a graphic of some kind that says click here to go somewhere else, you certainly can do that, effectively turning an image into a button. So you can click that here and you've got image link URL. You can also display the image in a light box, which means that and this will turn the link off, by the way, but because when I click that, it takes it away. But when this happens, that means if a person clicks on the image will get bigger and have a close X on it so that you can view the image at a larger size for a visitor and then close it and go back into your website experience. This is really good if you have a gallery of images that you want to display in like a grid, but you'd like for people to be able to see them larger if they want to click on them. You can choose here whether to open that link in the same window or a new tab if you choose not to open it in the light box and choose an image link. I'm going to tell you, you don't have to choose either. You can just leave it as is, just as an image. The background here is a little bit on the useless side unless you're using the gradient part. So we're not going to go over that. It gets a little complicated in here, but just know that the image is all that's in this module. If we come to design, our first choice is alignment. This allows us to choose left, right, or center for this particular module. I'm going to go ahead and pick center because of what we're going to do next. And you can see it shifted the image just a little bit. Sizing, as I showed you before, we can make the image smaller, and we move this box out of the way. And I want you to notice that this image looks a lot clearer when it's smaller. That's because it's not a very big image. This is the dance that you have to take between how big is it to load on my website and how big do I want it to be for visitors to see. So big in size and big in resolution, and that makes it bigger in KBs, kilobytes. Remember I said stay away from the MBs because that's not a good thing. That's too much for the internet to load. So you need to stay in KBs, but the smaller number of KBs there are, the less large you're going to be able to display that image and have it still look clear. If it's at 100% here, it starts to look a little fuzzy, but as we scroll back down into like 60%, it looks pretty good. So here's where you can adjust that. Here again, you have module alignment. You can also fiddle with the height of the image or the maximum height of the image if you want. I also want to point out that you can change the height of the image specific to when people have it on a device. So for example, if we click here, we have our devices pop out. If we want this image to be 100% on a phone, which would be perfectly fine. We'll leave it at auto on the phone, but on desktop, it's at 60%. So let me scroll back down here. There we are. And then on tablet, it could be something different. In addition, you can also change this based on hover preferences. So if I click here for hover, that's not going to let me change. Yep, it will. It's going to let me change this up. So when it's just regular displayed, it'll be this size. But if somebody hovers their mouse over it, it's going to get bigger. I'll leave it like that to show you what that means. I can also change the spacing, which is the margin is the spacing between this image and what is above it. And padding is the spacing between this edge and the image itself. So if padding can be positive but not negative, margins can be negative. So if you see I move that up, it'll move it down for me. I'm going to go ahead and reset both of these to 0. I can put a border around my image. I can make that border be a visual border, or I could just round the edges of the image. And if you'll notice as I'm going here and I ramp this up, you'll see the corner of that image slowly rounding. And if I do it at like 100, it'll round very big. If I do 300, it's going to come into being an oval shape. If it were a square image, it would turn out to be a circle if we did that. Okay, so let's take this back to like 40. And then we're going to come down here. You can choose whether to have a visual border all the way around the image or top, left, right, or bottom. But in order for that to be, you have to pull this out so that you have pixels here to work with. You can change the color of this border if you would like. You can make it super thick. You can make it thin. You could make it only on the top. I'm going to take that off of here. A different color on each side. Okay, so this would be top border. We could make that one way thicker. See what's happening here. We can go to the right one, make it way thick. And if we come back to the all the way around one and make it thin, we have like a graphic effect on our image. You can come in here and play with this, determine how you want it to be. And remember, you always have these wonderful little 3 dots up here where you can copy your module styles and paste them on something else. So that gives you the opportunity once you get it styled, if you want all your images to look like that, you can go in and copy from image to image so that it makes it easier for you. Okay, so we've gone over border. We also have a box shadow that we can add if you would like. That adds a shadow around the image. The X, of course, takes it away. There's a variety of these that you can choose from. You can choose from ones that are all the way around. They help kind of give your website 3-dimensionality. I recommend that if you're going to use a border, don't use a box shadow. If you're going to use a box shadow, don't necessarily use a border. And if you use one or the other, try to make it consistent throughout your website that you're only using one. In other words, don't use this box shadow and this box shadow on the same page or even on the same website. Choose one as a style that you want to go with and stick to it. All right, next down we have filters. And filters allow us to do a little bit of adjustments within our image. So as you can see, as I pull the hue across there, it changes the color of everything behind Diesel. I can also change to saturate an image more or desaturate, which is going to make it black and white. If I want it to come back, I think it's usually at 100. Okay. And then brightness, contrast, the same thing. We can also invert the colors of the image to make it look like an X-ray if we would like. Or, and I know this will be popular amongst horse people, there's a sepia slider as well. I'm going to scroll down. We can also make the image more transparent, so that the background shows through more. There's when the background comes in handy. We can blur the image, so we could blur it out and use it, if we wanted it to be very blurry as just a context. And then there are things called blend modes. And you can roll through here and select your different blend modes. I'm going to choose color dodge because that one is probably one of the more apparent ones. Well, I guess not. It probably doesn't have anything underneath it to blend with. We'll checkbox our thing. Nope. So if you had something under that, like this was sat over the top of another image, oops, those blend modes, it's a habit of mine right there. Those blend modes would matter. I'm going to go back down here to transform is one place I tell you guys always to stay away from. That can get you in trouble because that starts to do some different things. Animation, on the other hand, is what we call lazy loading. And lazy loading animation is easy to add, and it helps your site load faster, and it also helps attract attention to certain elements of your site. So if this is an image you really want people to see, I encourage you to add an animation style. Just like box shadows and borders, however, pick a style that's kind of your brand for your website and use just that one. If you want to use one for text and one for images, yeah, that would probably be okay, but please don't make like every element load different with a different animation style. Do you see what I mean? It gets confusing and overwhelming for your visitor. But picking something simple like fold, and it'll show you what the animation style is so you can see if you like it or not. And if you click it and then click it again, click off of it and then click it again, it'll show you again so you can determine what you want it to do. And there's settings here that will help you ease in and out of animation, the intensity of it, opacity, whole 9 yards. So you can set and adjust that as well. In the advanced area, there are an alternate text that you can utilize here that will help you with your SEO. So you can use this. Otherwise than that, this is a whole nother discussion for a whole different video and a whole different day. I hope this has helped you be able to understand a little bit more about the image module and the things that you can do in it. I encourage you to go play around with a image on your website and just make a lot of changes to it. There's nothing wrong with you creating a practice page. That's just you leave in draft where you experiment with things in Divi. So you can experiment with what is the style that I want for my website to make it unique and make it mine. So those of you who are in my template program, just so you know, templates are only a jumping off place. From there, the sky and the moon are really just the beginning of the limit. So get in there and play around and have some fun and see what you like for as far as your images are concerned. Just remember, don't overwhelm your viewers with a ton of different options. Pick one that you like the best and start to make that part of your branding. Have a great week, and I will see you in the next video.